Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday and Tea with Hannah. As you've been made aware, this is ADHD Awareness Month, and so I've vowed to talk about ADHD and my personal experiences with everything that comes with it. And it's a very challenging topic for me to talk about, like I've shared, based on how challenging it's been for me and the very confusing experience most of us have with ADHD experience growing up. Unless you're one of the very rare few, I've met a couple people who are those rare few who did have amazing support systems, incredible family, great teachers who really showed up for them and advocated for them and helped get them the resources to be free in their expression of their unique mind and ways of being in the world. So without further ado, ADHD minds have, in my opinion, a very unique way of being and existing in the world. We abide by a way, like a system of rules and being that is like completely different from the box that we are socialized in as a culture and as a society. It's not designed for ADHD minds. Most of our natural ways of being break every single rule. So having a relationship with someone with an ADHD brain can be really challenging and very triggering for people, because there's a lot of curiosity, there's a lot of adventure, there's like impulsivity, which can get into trouble. Like every single one of the characteristic traits that come with different variants of an ADHD brain come with equal challenge and equal gift. You following me here? Equal to as much challenge as an ADHD brained person will encounter comes with the polar opposite of that experience. So I often find ADHD brain people have an incredible sense of intuition, an incredible awareness of right and wrong, and really unique ways of thinking about those things. And those ways of thinking do commonly challenge everything of how things are presently. So it doesn't make people feel very good, because it can like some of these ideas that come up can seem so big or just different that they would challenge how we're doing things, which can be very scary for people. And people don't want to change. We like consistency. We want to not be told what we're doing might not be the best thing for us or other people. I'm guilty of this. Like it sucks when you're kind of handed facts, right? Or alternative ideas to think about. When you might have thought, oh, I've really thought about this a lot. I'm feeling pretty confident in my conclusion of how I see this certain matter in life. And an ADHD brain person might come along and go, oh, but what about this? And it's just like the rug gets pulled out from beneath you, and doesn't always feel very good. So those are just like some of the common things that we'll probably talk a little bit more about this month. But the main thing that I wanted to share about today was it's really hard to get out. I still have some trauma to work on in my throat about being able to talk about it, because of my experience growing up with ADHD has been like someone has been holding my throat and telling me to shut up. Stop being so big. Stop being so loud. Stop being so passionate. Stop being so happy. Stop being so intense. That's been my experience growing up, is that every single thing I did was wrong for every person and every reason. As equally as I can get upset, I can get equally as happy. And so it's really confusing growing up in a world like that, where people are debating if ADHD is even real. Like half the time, if I would ever acknowledge the word ADHD, it was, oh my God, everyone's diagnosed with that. I think I have that too. Because everyone experiences impulsivity. Everyone is forgetful at times. Everyone can have moments of feeling inattentive. So we all can experience these traits, but they are not the rule. And then again, that rule, it's very confusing because we have an ability to hyperfocus. And the truth of the matter is that we don't care about what we don't care about. So if you're not interesting, we can't pretend you're interesting. And that is something that neurotypical has a different and maybe has more ability in, of politely enduring their boredom in interpersonal situations. We can't really do that. And what we can, and that's for me, I've always been really focused on my personal growth as a human being. And so I was able to sort of hide and mask and act around my true nature of my ADHD brain. And that's basically what a lot of it was, is it's similar to being autistic. Is like autistic people learn social rules so they can make you feel more comfortable. It doesn't make them usually feel more comfortable. It doesn't really serve the autistic person, other than like they can have more of a higher success rate in the world that they're born in. So the same goes with the ADHD brained person, is we learn coping mechanisms to survive this world and the rules that come in that your brains have designed, which is not of our design. We were not designed for this world. We don't really fit in it. So we've had to be really flexible to fit your mold, so that you can feel better. But as I've shared before, a lot of us with ADHD brains, again, ADHD, I don't identify with that title. My work partner and I have, she actually recoined it. It's called God-given gift. God stands for Grant Organizing Designer. So something out there designed my brain uniquely in this way. And if you look at historically speaking, ADHD brained people were the hunter-gatherers of our society. So they were the, I also come very physically equipped. If you have kind of said, how do you have that body you have? I'm like, I don't know. It's just what God gave me. And wonderful genes, and I am absolutely an outdoor warrior. My body has incredible capabilities and energy and ability to focus and ability to come alive and survive and be well, especially when I'm breathing fresh air or moving through the green spaces of the world. My brain just, all my great ideas come, no issues with people. And same in my teaching career, whenever I was able to take the children, especially the ADHD brain children, into nature, they were the leaders of the group. When in school, they were the outcasts. Everyone wanted to be near them. They were following them, and that ADHD brain children, while in nature, didn't really want the attention anymore because they were just so content with themselves and what they were doing, and would pull out their journals and I was like, what is happening? This is so bizarre to watch. This is literally the polar opposite of an hour ago. This child was pissing everybody off, being rejected socially, just getting into mischief. And all of a sudden we go into nature. She's the coolest cat in town. It's pretty amazing. So that's just a small example of how the world was not really built for us, and how this title is very confusing. It has been very confusing because when I would occasionally, very rarely share that I did have ADHD, people tell me, no, you don't have that. It looks like this. Again, there are many different ways that ADHD presents. I am still learning about it. I also carry a lot of shame about the lack of knowledge that I still have to learn. And it's been really challenging to learn about ADHD because of how horrible the information is that's out there. It always seems to start negative, and I haven't found anything that talks about our gifts and how, I'm starting to, okay? But growing up, every time I would open a book about it, I was just like, it disgusted me. And that's the education that trained my community on how to treat me. And growing up with ADHD, I always felt like I was a second-class citizen. So I would see teachers be mean to me and treat me differently. And my peers would watch the teachers treat me differently and pick on me. And so as a child, when you're watching your teachers are kind of the common thing is that you want your teacher's approval. And when you see a teacher being mean to another child because they're kind of different and they're struggling, or there's just something about them that the teacher doesn't like, and gets to treat them differently than all the other kids. It kind of sets the example for the other kids that it's okay to treat that person with disrespect. And that was a large part of my experience growing up. And because I struggled so much, it was okay for people to be frustrated with me and do really horrible things to me. Physically, emotionally, thought-wise. I was manipulated quite a bit. And yeah, it's tricky too, because we're also like quite loving people and we really do see the best in things. And when the right supports aren't in place to support the way that your brain works in combination of the world that we're in, there are challenges, and I'll talk more about those I think later on in the month. But for me, it was, again, it's like that ADHD, so confusing, being told, again, I wouldn't really want to talk about ADHD or acknowledge that I had it. I just put my efforts into looking as normal as I possibly could and fitting with the social rules because I didn't want to be in trouble. I didn't want to be ostracized. Didn't want to be prejudiced against. Most people's prejudice when they hear ADHD and they look at a person, they go, okay, bad, stupid, problem. True. If you are wanting us to conform beautifully to the system that is, yes, I guess that's true. I feel sad about that. And I want to change that because I don't think it's right. That we're being like that. There's such an unwillingness to come into our world, but we have been spending our existence conforming to yours, even though if you look at where we come from, you wouldn't have been able to eat if it weren't for us, because we would hunt and gather. I was a warrior. That's where my genetic history comes from, with my very special brain. So I don't know if I can go too much further today, but thank you for listening. It's hard for me to gather my thoughts on this topic because, like I said, I feel like I'm being strangled and I know the words in my head, and when it's time for them to come out, there's like a disconnect that happens. So that's a sign that I have a lot more work to do in healing, and it might be lifelong for me because it's been a lifelong experience of having ADHD and growing up in this world where I was treated very differently because I was very differently, but I was not treated for my gifts in my difference. I was treated for my difference, that it was wrong and bad and not okay, and that I should fit. And the fact that I don't and that I do things differently wasn't okay. That's a really heavy wheel to turn the other way. And I've been on that journey. As soon as I started, I think going through puberty and maturing, was like, I don't want to be stupid and I don't want to be this and that. And so I focused really hard, but I didn't focus on being my unique me. Loving my difference. Finding my voice interesting. I fell into the trap that all those things made me bad and wrong. And it's been a real challenge in my life to turn those perspectives around and to truly develop my empowerment in my me-ness. My me-ness. And I've dedicated my work to helping the you-ness, the uniqueness of each person in the world come to life. Because I think it's important. I think that's how we heal. And I truly believe that every person, no matter what kind of a brain that you have, it comes down to accepting and owning who you truly are and demanding that the world makes space for you in your unique way, and it will. But it doesn't come without consequence. It doesn't come without adversity. And easy is nowhere in the world of an ADHD brain. And I'm excited to talk more about how amazing our brains are, but it's really hard to also get into that when it's so hard for people to hear anything about ADHD, because even the people who have it are like, oh my gosh, you can too, you can focus. And it's like, yeah, I can hyper focus. I can work for like hours and days long and be super juiced up and ready to go. Like I can get so much done in a fraction of time beyond what most people can know. I can consume knowledge and learn at a rate some people have, like, they can't even comprehend it. Like they don't even know how it's possible sometimes, like of how I have been able to put certain things together so quickly. But sometimes it goes slow in the beginning. Slow in the beginning, confusing, looks like a slow learner. But then when I really truly start getting it, that learning kind of goes down a never-ending rabbit hole and turns into this really beautiful, deep understanding of things. Because I don't just learn things from a book. My brain actually learns how to understand. I want to understand its function, its process, everything about it. Like I have so many questions, and I dissect things. Like I consider like the way my brain works is kind of like a surgeon. Like if it doesn't know something, it's got to break it apart until I can start understanding how things work or make more sense of the things that are still perplexing and not understanding. And that gives me more direction on where to go. So this makes me a really incredible problem solver. It makes me an amazing life coach. It's like emotional surgery every time, and I love it. And I go into hyper focus when I'm working with my clients, and that's why they do so well. So yeah, it's find your gifts, make the world make space for them, and work with the people who support you and see you, because it's really important to be seen. Just one person can change your life. I had my Aunt Mary Lou when I was little, and Mrs. Brown, my speech tutor. I couldn't say R's when I was little. It's so interesting too. So many of my little ADHD brain kids from school that I used to teach at, a lot of them couldn't say R either. I still don't know where that comes from, but really interesting. Where was I? I totally forgot what I was talking about. Anyways, thank you so much for listening today and for your openness and for bearing with me as I attempt to get out what I'm trying to say about this really beautiful and challenging topic. Bye everyone, have a great week.